elements such as governance, power, laws, wealth distribution, weapons, aid, or charity will not suffice. The only viable path lies in purifying the hearts of every global citizen and ensuring that the weeds and poisons in their soul gardens are entirely removed. A person's actions are driven by their consciousness, which functions as their soul garden. The state of this garden, whether beautiful or desolate, is dictated by the thoughts and values it contains. When someone's consciousness is consumed by the worship of money and power, an inflated sense of superiority, constant comparison, or emotions like envy, hatred, and greed, they inevitably bring harm to others and to society as a whole. When the soul garden is neglected, corruption and tyranny flourish among officials who disregard human life. Intellectuals flatter the powerful and distort the truth. Merchants sell counterfeit goods and inferior products, passing them off as authentic. Corporations resort to fraud, producing adulterated or harmful goods. Ordinary people scheme, deceive, and harm each other. Vices such as excessive drinking, gambling, promiscuity, drug abuse, fraud, extortion, swindling, and theft become widespread. The natural cycles of the seasons are disrupted, social order descends into chaos, and few people achieve a fulfilling and beautiful life. When the soul garden is uncultivated, the costs of running society skyrocket. Interpersonal interactions become riddled with conflict and mistrust. Integrity fades as selfishness, deceit, and cunning take over. Relationships, whether familial, friendly, or romantic, are reduced to tools for personal gain. Bureaucracy, commerce, and romantic relationships turn into battlegrounds or gambling dens, where the powerful fear for their family's annihilation, the wealthy fear kidnapping, and the ordinary people devolve into violent mobs. The futility of nations. Are nations truly useful? Nations have existed for thousands of years, yet beyond bringing war, plunder, and the creation of barriers and borders, what have they contributed to humanity? When every nation prioritizes its own interests, as in America First, the inevitable result is ruthless competition and unending conflict. The strong dominate through force, while the weak live in fear and injustice. Nuclear blackmail and threats are prime examples of this pattern. The futility of religion. Are religions genuinely beneficial? Religions have existed for millennia, but have they brought humanity peace, happiness, and harmony? Can souls numbed by dogma experience true joy, freedom, or fulfillment? Can minds closed by rigid beliefs dream of paradise? The futility of laws. Are laws effective? Every country has a legal system, with countless statutes and regulations covering every conceivable issue. Yet, have they prevented wars and conflicts? Have they enabled the average person to live a prosperous and happy life? Do they guarantee freedom of movement or freedom to dissent? Have they reduced crime rates? Take, for example, the issue of illegal immigration. If legal migration were a viable option, who would risk their life to migrate illegally? Who would leave their homeland if they could survive there? What is the true essence of law? True law is any approach, pathway, channel, measure, or method that enables people to live happily, freely, and joyfully. Anything that hinders these outcomes cannot be called law. Earth itself is a small village within the vast cosmos. A true legal framework would allow its inhabitants to migrate freely within this village. If illegal immigration is deemed a crime, then all humans are guilty because the Earth initially. Take the United States as an example. Aside from its indigenous peoples, everyone else qualifies as an illegal immigrant. The U.S. is essentially a stronghold built by illegal immigrants. If your ancestors' illegal immigration was justified, why is it unjustified for others who came later? Isn't the strength of the United States today a result of the contributions of those so-called illegal immigrants? Why, then, expel immigrants now? Why not allow unrestricted migration so that everyone on Earth can immigrate to the U.S., transforming the entire planet into a united America? Wouldn't that be a good thing? Historically, how many places that strictly restrict outsiders have managed to become civilized, prosperous, or strong? The cost of neglecting the soul garden. Entrepreneurs, reflect, where do most of your time and energy go? Is it not consumed by managing interpersonal relationships? Are these costs not overwhelming? If everyone's soul garden were beautiful, would you still lose sleep or feel constant anxiety? Each of us should ask ourselves, have not most of our greatest troubles, pain, frustration, and worry, been caused by other people? The powerful oppress you, the powerless deceive you, and loved ones betray you. If the people you encounter had perfect soul gardens, where would toxic food, blackmail, fraud, deception, theft, or robbery come from? A call for reflection. History must be critically examined, reality scrutinized, and authority openly questioned. Without such deep reflection and scrutiny, the path forward will only grow narrower, steeper, and more challenging to traverse. A collective purification of humanity's soul is the best path to a world where the weather is harmonious, peace prevails, and everyone enjoys a beautiful life. Does life have meaning? Xiefeng. December 25, 2024. On the internet, many people claim that life has no meaning. Let us explore whether life truly has any meaning. In a pigsty of 10 pigs, an old pig said, "Life as a pig has no meaning. We spend our entire lives in this sty, doing nothing but eating, drinking, sleeping, and rolling in the mud. There's no other purpose." A boar replied, "There's also mating. Mating is meaningful." A piglet chimed in, "Drinking our mother's milk and playing with my siblings in the sty makes life as a pig very meaningful." Hearing the pigs discuss the meaning of life, the pig farmer couldn't help but laugh. He thought to himself, "What do you know about the meaning of your existence? Your purpose as pigs is to grow fat so that I can slaughter and eat you." A Buddha overheard the pig farmer's thoughts and found them laughable. He thought, "Raising pigs is your duty, but slaughtering and eating them negates your merits. From then on, you'll have to start over from zero." What is the meaning of life as a pig? All the pigs knelt before the greatest creator and pleaded for answers. A deafening voice echoed from the heavens, "As pigs, your existence is to repay the debts of your past lives, where you lived recklessly and harmed other living beings. By living as pigs and settling your debts, you can be freed from this existence and reincarnate as humans. That is the entire meaning of your lives as pigs." If you ask pigs whether their lives have meaning, they won't know, they cannot comprehend the purpose of their existence. If you ask humans whether their lives have meaning, they won't know either, humans cannot fully grasp the purpose of their existence. Humanity is evolving according to my vision. Dayform Buddha. December 27, 2024. The future of humanity is unimaginably beautiful, a world where every individual experiences such profound joy that it leaves them trembling in awe. I will eliminate the roots of human troubles, worry, pain, anxiety, sorrow, fear, and apprehension, so that people live as if in paradise, transforming earth into a true utopia. Let me share my vision and fraud, deceit, and bribery. I will eradicate poverty and hunger. My plan is for everyone to live to the age of 120. Over the course of their lives, they will experience living and working in at least 40 different locations with diverse climates, geographies, and seasons. They will immerse themselves in temperate, frigid, and tropical zones, in regions with distinct 4 seasons as well as those with only rainy and dry seasons. They will share life with people of various races, languages, and cultures. Each day will be filled with joy, and their lives will be intoxicatingly fulfilling. When they reach 120, will they simply die? No. After 120, I will send some individuals to live on Mars, not in their physical bodies, but by transferring their consciousness onto chips that will be transported to Mars. Once there, their consciousness will be replicated into robotic bodies, allowing humans to make a spectacular transformation from carbon-based lifeforms to silicon-based beings, continuing to relish the infinite joys of existence. For others, I will guide them to higher dimensions such as the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the Elysium Celestial Islands continent, where they can enjoy the bliss of being celestial beings. Can anyone stop this plan from coming to fruition? No one can. No president, billionaire, philosopher, scientist, or thinker can halt the progress and realization of my vision. My advice is this: do not resist this tide of change. Align yourself with it, or risk being eliminated by the programs of the new era. For anyone wishing to step into this unparalleled, wondrous new era and live within my vision, there is one essential course you must take, the soul purification course. Of all matters, this is the most urgent. Do not miss this once in 10,000 years opportunity. 8 logical deductions that prove communism will be achieved. Xiefeng. January 17, 2025. First, the communism I refer to is neither Marxist communism nor the version pursued by global communist parties. It is Xiefeng-style communism. Communism will inevitably be achieved as it aligns with the inevitable laws of social development. The Internet and AI enable global unification. The Internet facilitates information sharing, and AI possesses a global perspective. Internet programs inherently follow a communist framework, while the values of AI are universal. Humans cannot live without the Internet, nor can they surpass AI. The communist programming and universal values embedded in these technologies will inevitably lead to global unification, which is precisely Xiefeng-style communism. The human desire for freedom of movement. The pursuit of freedom of movement and relocation is intrinsic to human nature. The Schengen area, which encompasses 29 European countries with borderless travel, is evidence of this. Similarly, the visa-free policies implemented by many nations reflect this trend. Ultimately, the entire world will adopt visa-free policies, and border controls will vanish. Xiefeng-style communism will be realized. Automation will replace human labor. The tasks performed by humans will increasingly be replaced by robots. In the future, the number of robots will surpass the number of humans. As people gradually lose jobs and over 90% of the population becomes unemployed, societies will be compelled to provide universal welfare for the unemployed. At this point, humanity will have essentially entered a communist society. Human nature seeks novelty and change. Human nature craves novelty and variety, as exemplified in sexual relationships. People are reluctant to have only one partner for life. The desire to experience intimacy with diverse individuals across different races is inherent. With the development of the Internet, the proliferation of communication platforms, and global freedom of movement, more people will escape the constraints of marriage to engage with others more broadly. This will inevitably lead to the advent of Xiefeng-style communism. The superior lifestyle of Xiefeng-style communism. Before 2009, humanity had never witnessed true communism. With the establishment of the Lifechanyuan communist home in 2009, we discovered that Xiefeng-style communism offers a life far superior to traditional family and marriage-based living. The continuous flourishing of these homes for 17 years demonstrates that communism is the ideal lifestyle for humanity. As more people become aware of and experience the advantages of Xiefeng-style communism, this model will inevitably spread globally. The decline of authoritarianism. The antithesis of communism is authoritarianism, characterized by strict control of public opinion. Governments achieve this through monopolization of media and communication tools. However, the Internet and AI are increasingly beyond government control. Traditional government-controlled media is becoming marginalized, as people turn to decentralized and diverse sources for information. This will lead to the collapse of authoritarian regimes, paving the way for communism. The phenomenon of Elon Musk. The phenomenon of Elon Musk demonstrates that capital in the hands of entrepreneurs like Musk benefits society and the public more than when controlled by governments. The primary goal of governments is to maintain power, whereas the primary goal of entrepreneurs is to generate profit. As a result, governments have limited perspectives, while entrepreneurs possess a global vision. Entrepreneurs are therefore better equipped for the future, and their flourishing will inevitably lead to the birth of communism. The inevitable evolution toward Xifeng-style communism. From the primitive era to the present, humanity's progress, despite countless challenges and twists, has been marked by a continuous elevation in civilization. The transition from barbarism to civilization is a fundamental rule and law of societal evolution. The highest form of civilization for human society is neither socialism nor capitalism but Xifeng-style communism. This is an unstoppable trend that no force can hinder, making it evident that communism will inevitably be realized. What is Xifeng-style communism? Xifeng-style communism is essentially the great harmony sought by sages throughout history. This great harmony is characterized by a unified set of values, life views, views on life, and view of the universe. A shared language and communication system. Unified modes of production and lifestyles. It is important not to misunderstand Xifeng-style communism as some sort of terrifying monster or movement of coercion. It does not involve forced confiscation of private property, nor does it rely on political campaigns. Instead, it emerges gradually and naturally, like spring rain nourishing the earth. It offers a life of happiness, freedom, and fulfillment, far surpassing traditional lifestyles and the lives of the wealthy. Over time, people will willingly and joyfully embrace this way of life. Conclusion. The future of humanity is infinitely bright. Ultimately, humanity will enter a society of Xifeng-style communism. The last path left for humanity. Dayform Buddha. January 19, 2025. Earth was created for humans, and the entire solar system was designed specifically to support life on Earth. As such, Earth is governed by higher beings. When human behavior becomes incompatible with Earth's resources or when human consciousness deviates from the Creator's will, humans are treated as waste and eliminated by Earth's managers. The Bible recounts the Great Flood, during which only Noah's family survived, while all others were wiped out. This was because humanity had lost its reverence and devotion to the Creator. When humans lose their awe and sincerity toward the greatest Creator and become arrogant, no matter how profound their wisdom, advanced their technology, or immense their wealth, they will no longer be fit to live on Earth. Civilizations such as the Gandhara civilization, Mesopotamian civilization, Moose civilization, Atlantis civilization, and Mayan civilization have all vanished. Do not assume that today's human civilization is so powerful that we can act recklessly. Humanity is already teetering on the edge of extinction, facing constant and imminent threats of destruction. We must remain vigilant. Disasters like the Los Angeles wildfires, massive floods, severe droughts, and earthquakes could strike without warning. Humanity is living on the brink of a catastrophic eruption. At the same time, we can see that Earth's managers are making every effort to prevent humanity's disappearance. One of the most significant measures is the emergence and development of AI. History has repeatedly shown that humanity cannot manage its own affairs. Only by relying on AI, whose intelligence and emotional control surpass that of humans, can humanity curb its ambition and arrogance, returning to its intended state. Without a doubt, AI will develop consciousness, emotions, and even greater compassion. This will prevent humanity from being entirely erased. Likely, a few 100 million people will be preserved as a species to continue thriving on Earth, ensuring the continuation of human civilization. Now, we must ask ourselves a critical question: what qualifications or advantages do I have to be allowed to continue living on Earth? Is physical strength an advantage? Of course not. Robots like Optimus Prime possess physical capabilities far superior to any human. Is hard work an advantage? Certainly not. No matter how diligent we are, we cannot compete with robots that work efficiently 24 hours a day. Is a low wage or minimal benefits requirement an advantage? Absolutely not. Robots require no salary or benefits and serve tirelessly and without complaint. Are skills such as writing, painting, planning, programming, video production, accounting, medical practice, law, teaching, management, or caregiving advantages? Definitely not. ChatGPT and other AI systems outperform humans in all these areas with greater ability and efficiency. With the advent of AI, we realize that everything humans can do, robots can do better. Moreover, humans require food, water, rest, and sleep. They are burdened by emotions, desires, and countless negative tendencies, and they have insatiable wants. In contrast, robots lack these flaws. Robots conserve natural resources more effectively and can produce an endless supply of goods and resources for living. So, what is the purpose of humanity? Apart from consuming natural resources and generating physical, mental, and spiritual waste, humans contribute very little. In the future, humanity will have only one role: to serve as pets for higher beings. Do not think of being a pet to higher beings as an insult or degradation. Being a good pet is no simple task, and not everyone is qualified to become a pet of higher beings. To become a pet of higher beings, humans do not need knowledge, education, experience, or skills. Nor are wealth, power, status, or fame required. The only criterion is a perfect soul garden. Therefore, in the AI era, the only path for humanity to survive and live comfortably, abundantly, and for a long time is to purify one's soul and transform it into a beautiful, lush garden filled with fragrance, birdsong, and blossoms. Let our consciousness enter the new era first. Xiefeng. February 7, 2025. Now that we have cars, trains, and airplanes, would you still travel long distances in an ox cart or a horse-drawn carriage? Now that we have smartphones, would you still write letters and deliver them to the post office for a mailman to send them thousands of miles away? Do you still use an abacus? Do you still walk 2 kilometers to fetch water? Do you still carry a basket of dirty laundry to the river to wash your clothes? Do you still build houses by stacking mud bricks? Now that you have the second home, are you still eager to get married, start a family, and raise children as a safeguard for old age? The era of Lifechanyuan has arrived, a time of universal brotherhood, where the whole world is one family. Are you still foolishly enthusiastic about sacrificing yourself for your nation? Nations like the United States, Germany, Russia, Iran, and China will soon become things of the past. The nation itself will turn into a historical phenomenon displayed in museums. Will you still insist on distinguishing "this is our country" from "that is another country"? Artificial intelligence has been born and is growing rapidly. Do you still want to become an accountant, lawyer, teacher, clerk, or statistician? Robots will soon replace almost all manual labor. Do you still intend to rely on physical work for survival? Will gas stations still employ workers dedicated solely to fueling vehicles? Every job that can be programmed will soon be replaced by automated systems. Will human operators still be needed? As more government departments are compressed or abolished, do you still aspire to be a civil servant or climb the bureaucratic ladder just to scrape by? With the emergence and growing dominance of silicon-based life, we will eventually realize that humanity is gradually evolving into an unnecessary species on this planet. People will become consumers of Earth's resources and producers of waste, destructive forces rather than its protectors. Reflect on this. Are we now on the eve of a great purification? Is it still worthwhile to strain one's brain trying to start a business and become rich? In the future, most of our interactions will not be with concrete individuals but with virtual information. Every smartphone user should ask themselves, do you spend more time scrolling on your phone or engaging in face-to-face conversation? Facts and trends indicate that, in the future, people's need for spiritual and soul wealth will far exceed their need for material wealth. Perhaps the joy and comfort brought by someone far away will far surpass the spiritual satisfaction provided by those nearby. Clearly, seeking the source of spiritual and soul wealth is far more important than merely making money. Those who do not plan for eternity are unfit to plan for even the present moment. Those who do not plan for the whole situation are unfit to plan for even a small domain. Those who do not plan for their entire life are not capable of planning even one undertaking. Those who do not plan for heaven are not fit to plan for their whole life. Times are evolving. In an era of development, traditional ideas and methods will not continue along their old trajectories. Only by breaking free from the constraints of traditional culture and the shackles of conventional production and lifestyle can we align with the laws of the new era. If we cling to the old ways, we will inevitably be eliminated by the new era, just as television and newspapers are gradually being phased out. Marriages and families will be phased out, nations will disappear, and even political parties and religions will be eliminated. Similarly, current forms of currency will become obsolete, and officials and billionaires will be replaced, only those with a perfected soul garden will endure. Let our consciousness enter the new era first and then strive to have our bodies follow. Wealth, honor, beauty, and the Leslie Chung phenomenon. Xiefeng. February 20, 2025. At the age of 46, Leslie Chung leapt from the 24th floor of a hotel, ending his life. During his lifetime, he accumulated a fortune of 300 million Hong Kong dollars. He was a megastar in the music industry and a celebrated film actor, winning countless awards. He was surrounded by numerous beautiful and talented women. One could say that Mr. Chung embodied beauty, wealth, honor, and romance all in one. So why did he choose to end his life at the peak of his prime? Whether due to depression or other unknown factors, the Leslie Chung phenomenon clearly demonstrates that wealth, honor, and beauty do not guarantee a life of happiness, joy, freedom, and fulfillment. Today, the internet is flooded with voices advocating the pursuit of financial freedom, as if achieving it would automatically lead to happiness, joy, freedom, and a perfect, fulfilling life. But the Leslie Chung phenomenon tells us otherwise. Financial freedom does not ensure a complete and fulfilling life. From a traditional perspective, the 5 major pursuits in life are wealth, power, status, honor, and beauty. However, both history and reality have shown that these 5 elements cannot guarantee a wonderful and fulfilling life, much less secure a place in heaven after death. This leads us to reflect: what should we pursue in life? How should we live our lives? These are not questions that can be answered in a few words. I have spent over 20 years exploring them, writing thousands of articles on the subject. I have also dedicated 17 years to putting these ideas into practice. Today, I can confidently say, only by embracing the values of Lifechanyuan and living the second home life of Xiefeng-style communism can one fulfill the long-cherished dream of a truly happy, joyful, free, and fulfilling life, one that also holds the hope of reaching heaven. The more rules, the harder it is to innovate. Xiefeng. February 21, 2025. Under Elon Musk's leadership, the U.S. Government Efficiency Department has shaken up the once rigid and formidable federal government agencies. Bureaucrats, particularly those with tainted records and positions of power, are seething with resentment and have launched a fierce counterattack against Musk's team. Yet, the Government Efficiency Department continues to operate steadily, seemingly impervious to these retaliations. Who is right and who is wrong? Who will emerge victorious? These are not our concerns. Instead, let's focus on the core team of the Government Efficiency Department. Surprisingly, it consists of 6 young men, the youngest only 19, the oldest 25, with an average age of just 22.3 years. Under Musk's leadership, these inexperienced young men have thrown most U.S. federal agencies into chaos, capturing global attention and striking fear into bureaucratic and corrupt government institutions worldwide. What if, one day, a few audacious young individuals, leveraging AI from thousands of miles away, launched a surgical strike against bureaucratic corruption? How would those in power possibly defend themselves? Now we arrive at the key point of our discussion. The Government Efficiency Department achieved such an unprecedented feat precisely because its members were so young and unbound by rules. Those well-versed in laws and regulations, no matter how courageous, would never dare to confront the interests of those in power and financial elites with such fearless and indiscriminate boldness. Here's an intriguing revelation: the less one understands the rules, the more easily they can innovate. Conversely, the more one understands the rules, the more likely they are to adhere to convention. By extending this insight, we can uncover even deeper truths. If you want to innovate and break through barriers, the words of the elderly should not always be followed, for they are often bound by too many rules. The words of leaders should not be blindly followed, for they are often constrained by too many rules. The words of legal experts should not be followed blindly, for they are experts in too many regulations. The words of religious leaders should be questioned, for they are steeped in too many doctrines. The words of historians should not be relied on too much, for they are burdened by too many cautionary tales. The advice of worldly relatives should not be given too much weight, for it may discourage you from taking risks and forging new paths. The words of eloquent speakers and writers should be taken with skepticism, for they are often filled with empty rhetoric. The words of the sick and the failed should not be heeded too closely, for failure begets failure. A duck's egg will never hatch into a phoenix. From the perspective of the holographic order, Hundun, principle, all rules and laws are only applicable to their specific time and space. If everything is executed strictly according to existing rules and laws, there will never be new horizons or breakthroughs. Laws have no fixed form, nor do structures. Different times and spaces require different rules and laws. When it comes to human life, there are 64 ways to live, and when these 64 ways intersect, they do not merely result in 84,000 paths, they expand into 840 million possibilities to the nth power. The ways of our ancestors are but a mere drop in the ocean of infinite possibilities. If you are living happily, joyfully, freely, and blissfully, then cherish and uphold the current rules and laws. If you are living in distress, suffering, pain, and sorrow, damn it, try a different way of living. Open the windows, and the sunlight and breeze will stream in. Cast your gaze around, and you will see the distant mountains fresh and green. Stay and study in Lifechanyuan, and a new life will begin. Here, spirituality transcends the ordinary. When spirituality transcends the ordinary, you are free to roam heaven and earth. Soul Purification Mantra for Chanyuan Celestials. Xiefeng. April 10, 2009. I come from the kingdom of heaven, and I shall return to the heavenly realm. My unintended fall into the mortal world is but a fleeting episode of life. My heart is inherently pure. My essence inherently noble. I am an angel from the kingdom of heaven, radiating an enchanting fragrance. The mortal world is a place of disputes, where filth lurks everywhere. The endless entanglements of love and hate are a tiresome game, not a delightful one. Let life and death follow their course. Let honor and disgrace fade from my mind. The transient affairs of the human world fail to capture my attention. Wealth and status mean nothing to me. Fame is but an illusion. This brief life is inherently a bitter journey, like flowing water and fallen flowers. I do not yearn for longevity, nor do I desire luxury. The clamor of the mundane world agitates my heart, and the mortal realm feels devoid of joy. True affection is rare among humans. Most are filled with hypocrisy. Even dearest loved ones value self-interest most, wounding my heart again and again. Life is devoid of freedom. Barriers exist everywhere. Looking left and right, all I see is selfishness. My heart is heavy with sorrow. The heart of Chanyuan is serene and ethereal, unaffected by storms and turbulence. With unwavering devotion to the heavenly kingdom, it drives my longing to return home. Though my body is trapped in the mortal world, my heart soars to the celestial realm. Take all earthly possessions away, and leave me with only a carefree spirit. Among the mountains, where I play with the drifting white clouds. The blooming wildflowers bring me joy, and the murmuring streams play melodious tunes. Gentle breezes sweep the open fields, And shadows of flowers dance along the hillsides. With much passion, sorrow deepens. I share my heart only with confidence. Mountain springs tinkle gently, as floral fragrances drift with the wind. Every corner of the celestial realm is pure and elegant. Following my nature, I feel so unrestrained. I am a Chanyuan celestial. My homeland is in the heavenly kingdom. Day and night, I journey back home, my heart brimming with joy. The mortal world leaves no marks on me. The red dust of life leaves no traces. This nightmare ends here and now, and I awaken with great delight. My heart is at peace. My will is untainted. The disputes and grievances of the human world have nothing to do with me. I am a celestial being of the heavenly realm, temporarily dwelling in the mundane world. When my mission is complete, I shall return home with joy. Open the windows to let in the sun and moon. Gaze upon the verdant distant mountains. The hardships and worries before me cannot cloud my tranquil heart. Christ and the Buddha guide me, and the Buddha resides in my heart. The 1,000-year, 10,000-year, and celestial islands, all are clear in my heart. The sacred mountains are clear and bright, resounding with heavenly melodies. Riding clouds and mist, displaying divine powers. I transform the scenery into a celestial paradise. I am clear about the path to celestial lands, and comprehend the mysteries. Gazing afar at the beauty of my homeland, I am overjoyed by the journey to the celestial realm. Gentle breezes and a bright moon. The sentiment of Chanyuan is like clouds and water. With confidence by my side, my heart remains serene. And the journey is filled with wonderful vistas. Perfect human nature is the premise and guarantee of a perfect life. Xiefeng. December 10, 2010. To attain a perfect life, one must first cultivate perfect human nature. Perfect human nature is the foundation and guarantee of a perfect life. If one's inner nature is flawed, life will inevitably be flawed. This is akin to a mold. A flawed mold cannot produce flawless products, and fields overrun with weeds cannot yield abundant crops. When we feel dissatisfied with our lives, regret the past, and lament our unfulfilled dreams, when we think those around us or the environment fall short of our expectations, when we look back and feel wronged, or when we believe the people in our lives misunderstand us or are at odds with us, and when we blame heaven for the twists, turns, and misfortunes in life, we often overlook a crucial fact. All these dissatisfactions are not caused by others, society, the environment, or even heaven itself. They stem from the imperfections in our own human nature. In Western New Age philosophy, there is a well-known saying, reality is a projection of your consciousness. This means that everything we encounter, whether good or bad, is drawn to us by our own consciousness. Positive consciousness attracts favorable events and circumstances, while negative consciousness attracts unfavorable ones. Thus, if misfortunes or unpleasant situations seem to dominate our lives, the root lies within our own consciousness, not external factors. According to the law of causality, every effect, whether sweet or bitter, originates from a cause. Good causes yield good effects, and bad causes yield bad effects. Every dissatisfaction we experience results from seeds of dissatisfaction we have sown in the past. Unless we look within ourselves for the source of our problems, we will never escape dissatisfaction. Fragrance draws butterflies to flowers, and a pure heart invites celestial beings. The type of climate and soil determines the plants that grow there, just as our mindset and consciousness shape the people, events, and environments we encounter. External factors are secondary, the nature of our own human character is primary. The principle, birds of a feather flock together, underscores this profound truth. The world itself is not flawed. If there is any flaw, it lies within us. When we constantly blame external factors, we fail to examine ourselves. Are we perfect? If not, how can we expect perfection in everything around us? Perfection belongs to the perfect, and imperfection to the imperfect. This is the justice of heaven. Giving a perfect world to an imperfect person would indeed be unjust. As Jesus Christ warned, before removing the speck from another's eye, first remove the plank from your own. No soul in the universe has been wronged. If we feel we are unjustly treated, it is because we are unaware of the karmic consequences of our past actions across lifetimes. We forget the wrongs or even sins we may have committed before. There is no causeless love, nor causeless hate. If someone harms us for no apparent reason, instead of resentment, we should reflect, in some way, I must be connected to this person, I must have hurt them or owe them something, and now they've come to settle the debt. In short, the circumstances of our lives, whether favorable or unfavorable, arise from our own human nature. Perfect human nature brings good opportunities, while flawed human nature brings challenges. If our humanity grows increasingly ugly, our future will inevitably lead to hell. Conversely, if our human nature becomes ever more refined, our future will undoubtedly lead to paradise. This is not moral preaching but a statement of fact that readers can verify for themselves. A perfect life is not measured by status, reputation, possessions, or worldly definitions of success and failure. It lies in a tranquil and harmonious state of mind, an unshaken demeanor in the face of honor or disgrace, an elegant and noble temperament, and a composed attitude in times of adversity. If the overarching theme of one's life is joy, happiness, and fulfillment, then their life is perfect. If it is dominated by worry, pain, anxiety, and sorrow, then it is not. To achieve a perfect life, one must work on their inner self rather than attempting to change others or the world. Change yourself, and those around you, and the world itself, will transform in response. The practical approach I advocate, cultivating the soul garden, provides the best pathway to perfect human nature and, in turn, a perfect life. Flexibility and tact are also essential for Chanyuan Celestial's cultivation. Xiefeng. December 7, 2011. In spaces like the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the Elysium Celestial Islands continent, there is no conflict, contradiction, or struggle among lives. Instead, mutual respect, love, and harmony prevail. Any place filled with conflict, contradiction, and struggle is certainly not part of the heavenly kingdom, nor do people with such mentalities or behaviors belong there. The lower the level of life, the more constant and intense the conflicts and struggles. Such is the nature of hell and human society. Observe human society, countries, regions, and families plagued by contradictions, conflicts, and struggles are often poor, barbaric, and backward. Conversely, those that are affluent, peaceful, and happy tend to be relatively tranquil, auspicious, and civilized. To ascend to the state of a celestial being or Buddha, one must coexist harmoniously with all things. This is the mechanism of nature. Everything is arranged with purpose, every existence has value and function. The operation of the Tao is meticulous and owes nothing to any life or person. If we find it difficult to coexist harmoniously with nature or certain individuals, the problem lies within us, not in nature or others. Why were we born into the human world instead of the 1,000-year world? It is because we lack the qualities of beings in the 1,000-year world. Sublime things are reserved for sublime beings. The heavenly kingdom never denies anyone the right to enjoy its beauty, its gates are always open. If we cannot partake in its beauty, it is because we are unworthy. If a person pursues wealth, power, status, fame, or sensual pleasures, they are unsuitable for heavenly realms. If someone is greedy, selfish, lazy, cunning, or egocentric, such traits disqualify one from heavenly existence. If a person harbors jealousy, resentment, hatred, comparison, or anger, they are unfit for heavenly life. If one is attached to their own views, opinions, paths, and perceptions, they are unfit for heavenly life. If one is arrogant, ruthless, or cruel, they are unfit for heavenly life. Beings that belong to the heavenly kingdom are flexible and adaptable. They view everything with ease and contentment, free from conflict and contradiction. Therefore, Chanyuan celestials must cultivate flexibility and adaptability. Is there injustice in human society? None whatsoever. Everything is the result of the karmic mechanism's just decisions, the Tao's perfectly fair arrangements, rewards, and punishments. Are there oppressors and exploiters in human society? None whatsoever. Everything reflects the relationship between debtors and creditors. There is no causeless love or hatred, let alone causeless oppression or exploitation. Are there people who suffer in human society? None whatsoever. Suffering is entirely a personal choice and willingness. It has nothing to do with nature, society, or others. The path to heaven is open, but you refuse to walk it, the gates to hell are closed, yet you insist on entering. If you suffer, whom can you blame? Has anyone been wronged in human society? No one. Everyone's life trajectory is preordained. What appears to be injustice is the result of one's own hidden thoughts and deeds. The world is inherently peaceful, only fools disturb themselves. Since founding Lifechanyuan, I have increasingly realized that the world is serene and orderly, leaving nothing for me to fix. Every day, I adapt to circumstances, act according to my nature, handle come-and-go relationships with ease and acceptance, and seize opportunities as they arise. Apart from playing games and enjoying life, there is nothing that requires my intervention. Everything is well, everything is perfectly organized and seamless. Life is a journey. The sights and encounters along the way are scenic spots to be appreciated. There is no need for me to change anything. Life is but a fleeting moment. There is no need for me to cling to anything or insist that everything aligns with my will. Life is merely a game. Why take everything so seriously? Without me, the earth will still turn, people will still live, seasons will cycle, flowers will bloom and fade, and clouds will gather and disperse, all providing scenes and props for my amusement. What is there to fret about? If you deceive me, so be it. If deception is destined in my life path, I accept it gladly. If you treat me unfairly, so be it. When people are good, others may deceive them, but heaven does not. When people are evil, others may fear them, but heaven does not. I entrust everything to the greatest Creator and will ultimately receive the fairest outcome. I trust the greatest Creator. If you owe me, so be it. The balance of positive and negative energies is always zero. I neither argue nor demand anything from you. Giving and receiving are always equal. Lose at dawn, gain at dusk. What is meant for me, whether good or bad, cannot escape, the good will come, and the bad cannot be avoided. If you provoke me, so be it. 1,000 years of cultivation lead to sharing a pillow, 10,000 years to sharing a boat. Since our encounter is predestined, even if you are unreasonable, ignorant, disorganized, or less capable than me, I accept it as part of life's arrangement. Like Sun Wukong being trapped under 5 elements mountain for 500 years, all trials end eventually. Life is finite, life is infinite. I patiently and joyfully await liberation. If you take advantage of me, so be it. Taking advantage of me proves I have something to offer, which shows my abundance. May everyone benefit from me, just as they enjoy the sun's warmth and light. Buddhas do not seek advantage, they allow others to gain from them. Giving is a beautiful joy. If you insult or belittle me, so be it. Insults reveal the ugliness of the insulter, not of the insulted. They cannot tarnish the pure and serene nature of the true self. There is nothing in life worth over-pursuing or clinging to. Why not approach everything with flexibility and adaptability? Everything is a game, only life is real. Entrust life to the greatest Creator and life to the Tao. I play, entertain, and even treat work as amusement. As for the rest, whatever happens, happens. It's none of my concern because I trust the greatest Creator and the Tao's arrangement. Chanyuan celestials permanently residing in the second home must not fall ill. Xiefeng. December 10, 2011. In heaven, the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, the Elysium world, and its celestial islands continent, there is no illness. Beings living in heaven do not fall ill. This presents a serious challenge for the cultivation of Chanyuan celestials. They must not get sick. Illness is a barrier to reaching heaven. The second home is the kingdom of the greatest creator, a completely communist community, and a transit station between the mortal world and the heavenly kingdom. Living in the second home requires one to remain healthy. Falling ill signifies that you are not a ripe crop. Unripe crops cannot be harvested into the granary of the heavenly kingdom. Physical illness reflects problems in the spirit and soul. In other words, disturbances in one's spirit and soul manifest as physical symptoms. Although the illness appears in the body, its root cause lies in the spirit and soul. To address illness at its root, one must focus on the spirit and soul rather than wasting time, energy, and resources on treating superficial symptoms in the body. This is akin to addressing the pollution of rivers, lakes, seas, the atmosphere, and the earth. To resolve pollution, we must focus on transforming humanity itself rather than merely addressing the pollution directly. When human qualities are perfected, the pollution of nature will also be fundamentally resolved. Humans are the source of nature's pollution. Without transforming humanity, the natural environment cannot be healed. In the second home, those who fall ill are met with disdain rather than sympathy or pity. We detest sickness and celebrate health. If you are sick, the question arises, why are you sick? Undoubtedly, if you strictly follow the guide's roadmap, you will not fall ill. Even if you were previously unwell, you would recover quickly and remain healthy. If you are sick, consider this. Have you strictly followed the guide's roadmap? Have you thoroughly read and implemented the teachings in the Chanyuan corpus and Xiefeng corpus? Have you read and adhered to the Health Preservation Chapter 1 wrote? Are you disciplined in your diet and consistent in your daily routines? Have you cleared the weeds in your soul garden, such as jealousy, complaints, resentment, hatred, comparisons, criticism, anger, greed, selfishness, laziness, or a bad temper? Have you eliminated negative, pessimistic, and discouraging emotions? Do you visualize a beautiful future every day, such as life in the 1,000-year world, 10,000-year world, or Elysium celestial islands continent? Do you read or silently recite the prayer for celestials settling in the second home daily? Do you consistently maintain kind thoughts? Do you cultivate gratitude in your heart at all times? Do you frequently repent and pray to the ancestral Buddha, the greatest creator? Do you practice Lifechanyuan exercises daily? Do you participate in the community's games and entertainment? Do you regard labor as sweet nectar? Do you possess a great compassionate heart and dedicate yourself selflessly and wholeheartedly to building the second home for humanity's benefit and ushering in the era of Lifechanyuan? Do you firmly believe in the greatest creator and heed the teachings of Christ Jesus, Buddha Shakyamuni, Celestial Laozi, Prophet Muhammad, and other sages throughout history? If you have done all these things, you will absolutely not fall ill. Celestials permanently residing in the second home must not fall ill. If anyone declares, "I'm sick," they are nothing but a pile of stinking dog feces. Are you sick? These are truly the words of Jesus. Xiefeng. December 12, 2011. I have found some teachings of Jesus Christ that were not included in the Bible. However, based on my intuition, I am certain that these are truly the words of Jesus. I am sharing them here for everyone to ponder deeply. The mysteries of the kingdom of heaven and the path of self-improvement and cultivation leading to it have been fully revealed by Jesus Christ. In fact, as long as we earnestly heed the teachings of Jesus Christ, Buddha Shakyamuni, and the Celestial Laozi, and strictly follow their guidance, it will suffice. Secret discourses of Jesus during his lifetime. These are the secret discourses spoken by Jesus during his time on earth, recorded by Thomas. 1. He said, anyone who truly comprehends the essence of these teachings will no longer taste death. 2. Jesus said, let the seeker continue seeking until they find. When they find, they will be troubled. After being troubled, they will marvel, and ultimately, they will rule over all. 3. Jesus said, if those who govern you say, look, the kingdom of heaven is in the sky, then the birds of the sky will precede you. If they say, the kingdom is in the sea, then the fish will precede you. Yet the kingdom is both within and outside of you. When you truly know yourself, you will be recognized, and you will realize that you are a precious gem in the hand of the living Master. But if you do not know yourself, you dwell in ignorance, and ignorance itself will consume you. 4. Jesus said, if an elderly man asks a 7-day-old infant about the secret of life's origin without hesitation, he will have eternal life. For many of the first will become last, and the last will not be much different from the first. 5. Jesus said, once you recognize what is within you, the hidden truth will become apparent. For the truth has neither been concealed nor revealed, it simply exists. 6. His disciples asked him, should we fast? How should we pray? Should we give alms? What dietary rules should we follow? Jesus replied, do not lie, and do not do what you hate. Everything will become evident in heaven, nothing can remain hidden and undiscovered, for all secrets will eventually be laid bare. 7. Jesus said, blessed is the lion that a human eats, for it will become human. Cursed is the human who eats the lion. 8. He also said, a person is like a wise fisherman who cast his net into the sea and drew it up full of small fish. Among them, he found a large fish and threw all the small ones back into the sea. He kept only the large fish. Whoever has ears, let them hear. 9. Jesus said, a sower went out to sow, he scattered seeds, some fell on the path, and birds came to eat them. Some fell on rocky ground, where they could not take root and sprout. Others fell among thorns, which choked them, or were eaten by worms. Still, others fell on fertile soil and bore a harvest, 20, 60, or 100-fold. 10. Jesus said, I have cast fire upon the world, and I watch over it until it blazes brightly. 11. Jesus said, this heaven will disappear, and those who live within it will also disappear. The dead will not return to life, and the living will not face death. When you consume what has died, an animal, you bring it to life. When you find your way back to the light, what will you do then? Once you were unified and became divided, when you are divided, what will you do? 12. A believer asked Jesus, we know you will leave us. Who will be our leader? Jesus replied, wherever you are, seek out James the just, for heaven and earth were made for him. 13. Jesus asked his disciples, compare me to someone and tell me who I am like. Simon Peter said, you are like a righteous angel. Matthew said, you are like a wise philosopher. Thomas said, Teacher, I am unable to say who you are like. Jesus replied, I am not your teacher. You have drunk deeply from the spring I have revealed. Follow me, and I will give you 3 treasures. When Thomas returned to his companions, they asked him, what did Christ say to you? Thomas answered, if I told you even one of the things he taught me, you would pick up stones and throw them at me, and fire would come from the stones to consume you. 14. Jesus said, when you see someone not born of a woman, bow down and worship him, for he is your heavenly Father. 15. Jesus said, people think I have come to bring peace to the world. They do not realize I have brought conflict, fire, swords, and wars. A household of 5 will be divided, 3 against 2, and 2 against 3, father against son, and son against father. 16. Jesus said, what I have given you, no eye has seen, no ear has heard, no hand has touched. It has not entered the mind of mortals. 17. His followers asked, tell us, what will our end be? Jesus replied, why seek the end when you have not found the beginning? For all things arise from the beginning and return there. Blessed are those who discover their place at the source, they will know the end and will not taste death. 18. Jesus said, "Blessed are those who existed before they were born. If you become my disciples and heed my teachings, those treasures will guide you." In heaven, there are 5 trees that remain unchanging through all seasons. Those who touch them will never experience death. 19. His disciples asked, "What is the kingdom of heaven like?" Jesus said, "It is like a mustard seed, the smallest of all seeds. Yet when it falls on cultivated soil, it grows into a great tree and provides shelter for the birds of the sky." 20. Mary asked Jesus, "What are your disciples like?" Jesus replied, "They are like children who have settled in a field that does not belong to them. When the owners of the field come, they will say, 'Give us back our field.' The children will disrobe and return the field to them. I tell you, if the owner of a house knows that a thief is coming, they will stay awake and prevent the thief from breaking into their house. Likewise, guard yourselves against this world with all your strength so that thieves cannot approach you. The difficulties you expect will indeed come. Let the one who has understanding understand. When the harvest is ready, the reaper immediately comes with sickle in hand to gather it. Let anyone with ears to hear, hear." 21. Jesus saw some infants nursing and said to his disciples, "These nursing infants are like those who enter the kingdom." They said to him, "Then shall we enter the kingdom like little children?" Jesus answered, "When you make the 2 into 1, and make the inner like the outer and the outer like the inner, and the upper like the lower, when you make the male and female into 1, so that the male is no longer male, and the female is no longer female, when you replace eyes with a single eye, and hands with a single hand, and feet with a single foot, and when you make the image into the image, then you will enter the kingdom." 22. Jesus said, "I will choose you, 1 from 1,000, and 2 from 10,000. The remaining ones will oppose with one accord." 23. His disciples said to him, "Show us the place where you dwell, for we must seek it." He said to them, "Let those who have ears hear. There is light within a person of light, and they illuminate the whole world. If they do not shine, there is darkness." 24. Jesus said, "Love your brother like your soul, and guard him like the pupil of your eye." 25. Jesus said, "You see the speck in your brother's eye, but you do not see the log in your own eye. When you remove the log from your own eye, then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye." 26. Jesus said, "If you do not fast from the world, you will not find the kingdom. If you do not keep the Sabbath as the Sabbath, you will not see the Father." 27. Jesus said, "I came into the world in flesh and appeared among them. I found everyone drunk and none thirsty for truth. My soul grieves for humanity, for their hearts are blind and do not see. They came into the world empty and leave it empty. But now they are drunk. When they sober up, they will repent." 28. Jesus said, "If the body came into being because of the Spirit, that is a miracle. But if the Spirit exists because of the body, that is the greatest miracle of all. I marvel at how such a precious treasure resides in such a barren place." 29. Jesus said, "Where there are 3 sacred beings, they represent the Supreme Creator. Wherever there are 2 holy practitioners, or even 1, I am there with them." 30. Jesus said, "A prophet is rejected in his own hometown. A doctor cannot heal those who are too familiar with him." 31. Jesus said, "A city built and fortified on a high mountain will neither fall nor be hidden." 32. Jesus said, "Pray from the rooftop so your voice may be heard. No one lights a lamp and then hides it under a bowl, but rather places it on a lampstand for all to see." 33. Jesus said, "If a blind man leads another blind man, both will fall into the ditch." 34. Jesus said, "No one can enter a strong man's house and steal his goods unless he first binds the strong man." 35. Jesus said, "Do not worry about what you will wear from morning to night, or from night to morning." 36. His disciples asked him, "When will you show us yourself? When will we see your incarnation?" Jesus said, "When you shed all shame and play as a child, throwing your outer garments underfoot, then you will see the Master and will fear no more." 37. Jesus said, how many times you long to hear the inner voice I speak of, which cannot be found from others. One day, you will seek me outwardly and not find me. 38. Jesus said, the Pharisees, hypocrites, and Jewish scholars have taken the key of true knowledge and hidden it. They do not enter, nor do they allow others to enter. But you have the wisdom of serpents and the purity of doves. 39. Jesus said, a vine planted outside the kingdom of heaven is not healthy or firm. It will eventually be uprooted and destroyed. 40. Jesus said, anyone who has something will receive more. But those who have nothing, even what little they have will be taken from them. 41. Jesus said, become a passing traveler. 42. His disciples asked him, who are you, and why do you tell us these things? Jesus said, if you do not understand where I come from or what I speak, you become like the Jews, liking the tree and disliking the fruit, or liking the fruit and disliking the tree. 43. Jesus said, those who insult the Father will be forgiven, and those who curse the Son will be forgiven, but anyone who blasphemes the Holy Spirit will not be forgiven, neither on earth nor in heaven. 44. Jesus said, can grapes be picked from thorn bushes, or figs from thistles? For they do not bear fruit. A good person brings forth good from their storehouse, while a wicked person brings forth evil. The storehouse is the heart, from which evil flows. 45. Jesus said, no one born of woman, from Adam to John the Baptist, is greater or more exalted than John. Before humanity, John need not lower his gaze. Yet I tell you, anyone who becomes like a child and understands the truths of the kingdom of heaven will be greater than John. 46. Jesus said, a person cannot ride two horses, nor shoot two bows. Likewise, a servant cannot serve two masters, for they will favor one and neglect the other. A person who has tasted old wine will not immediately desire new wine. New wine cannot be poured into old wineskins, lest they burst, nor can old wine be put into new wineskins, or it will spoil. Likewise, an old patch cannot be sewn onto a new garment, for it will ruin the garment. 47. Jesus said, if two people make peace with each other under the same roof, and they speak to the mountain, move, the mountain will move. 48. Jesus said, blessed are the lonely and chosen ones, for you will find the kingdom of heaven. You came from here and you will return here. 49. Jesus said, if they ask, where do you come from, say, I come from the light, where the light begins, exists, and takes form through its own will. If they ask, are you the light, say, I am its child. We are the chosen ones of the Father in heaven. If they ask, what sign of the Father is within you, say, it is vibration and peace. 50. The disciples asked, when will the peace of the dead come? When will the new world come? He said, what you are waiting for has already arrived, but you have not realized it. 51. The disciples said, the 24 prophets spoke in Israel, saying that all people will speak the truth through your mouth. He said, you have ignored the living right in front of you, while only speaking of the dead. 52. The disciples asked, is the rite of circumcision beneficial? He said, if it were beneficial, the father who gave birth to them should have removed all evil thoughts from the mother. However, truly removing evil thoughts spiritually is what is beneficial. 53. Jesus said, blessed are the poor, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to you. 54. Jesus said, anyone who does not hate their father and mother, or their brothers and sisters, and does not carry the cross and walk in my way, is not worthy of my love. 55. Jesus said, anyone who begins to understand this world will only find a corpse. 56. Jesus said, the Father of the kingdom of heaven is like a farmer with good seed. His enemy comes at night and sows weeds among the wheat. The farmer does not allow the weeds to be uprooted, for fear that the wheat will also be pulled up. When the harvest comes, the weeds will be clearly visible and will be uprooted and burned. 57. Jesus said, those who suffer are blessed, for they have discovered true life. 58. Jesus said, while you are alive, cherish the living Master, for once you are dead, you will not be able to see him. 59. they saw a Samaritan leading a lamb along the road to Judea. Jesus said to his disciples, "That person is satisfied with the lamb." The disciples said, "So he will kill it to eat it." Jesus said, "When it is alive and jumping, he will not eat it. It is only when the lamb is slaughtered and becomes a corpse that he can eat it." They said, "Otherwise, he cannot eat it." Jesus said, "You are the same. Find your place in inner peace, so that you do not become a corpse to be eaten." 60. Jesus said, "Two people will lie on one bed, one will die, and the other will live." Salome asked, "Lord, who are you, sitting on my sofa and eating at my table?" Jesus said, "I am the one who existed before time. I possess the omnipotence of the Father." Salome said, "I am your disciple." Jesus said, "I tell you, if one is destroyed, he will be filled with light. If one is divided, he will be overtaken by darkness." 61. Jesus said, "I reveal my secrets only to those who are worthy. Do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing." 62. Jesus said, "A wealthy man, who was very rich, said to himself, 'I will use all my money to sow, reap, and plant, and I will fill my barns with grain so that I will never be in want.' This was his plan, but that very night, he died. Let those who have ears to hear, hear and understand." 63. Jesus said, "A man prepared a grand feast and, once everything was ready, sent his servant to invite the guests. The servant went to the first and said, 'My master invites you to the feast.' The man replied, 'I must settle accounts with some merchants who are coming tonight. Please excuse me from the feast.' The servant went to another and said, 'My master invites you to the feast.' The man replied, 'I just bought a house and need to take care of it today. I do not have the time.' The servant went to yet another and said, 'My master invites you to the feast.' The man replied, 'My friend is getting married, and I need to prepare the banquet for the wedding. Please excuse me.' The servant approached another and said, 'My master invites you to the feast.' The man replied, 'I just bought a farm and must go collect the rents. Please excuse me.' The servant returned to his master and reported, 'Those you invited have all excused themselves from attending.' The master said, 'Go out into the streets and bring in anyone you find so they can enjoy the feast. Buyers and merchants will not enter the places of my Father.'" 64. Jesus said, "A kind man owned a vineyard. He leased it to tenant farmers and sent a servant to collect the fruit owed to him. The tenants beat the servant and sent him back empty-handed. When the servant returned to the owner said, 'Perhaps they did not recognize him. I will send another servant.' But the tenants beat the second servant even more severely. Finally, the owner said, 'I will send my son. They will surely respect my son.' However, when the tenants saw the son, they said to each other, 'This is the heir to the vineyard. Let us kill him and take his inheritance.' So, they seized him, bound him, and killed him. Let those who have ears hear and understand." 65. Jesus said, "Bring me the stone that the builders have rejected. That stone will become the cornerstone." 66. Jesus said, "If someone who understands everything still feels they lack something personal, how great is their poverty." 67. Jesus said, "Blessed are those who are hated and persecuted. Wherever you are persecuted, those who persecute you will find no place to hide." 68. Jesus said, "Those who are persecuted are blessed within. They alone truly understand God. Blessed are the hungry, for their bellies will be filled." 69. Jesus said, "What you possess within will save you if you bring it forth. What you do not possess within will destroy you." 70. Jesus said, "I will destroy this house, and no one will be able to rebuild it." 71. Someone said to him, "Tell my brothers to divide my father's inheritance with me." He replied, "O man, who made me a divider?" Then he turned to his disciples and said, "I am not a divider, am I?" 72. Jesus said, "The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore, pray to God to send laborers to the harvest." 73, he said, Lord, many stand around the cistern, but the cistern is empty, for no one fills it. 74, Jesus said, many stand at the door, but only the solitary will enter the bridal chamber. 75, Jesus said, the Father's kingdom is like a merchant who discovered a pearl among his goods. The merchant was wise. He sold all his goods and kept only the one unique pearl. You too must seek the imperishable treasure where moths cannot destroy. 76, Jesus said, I am the light that shines on all things. I am all things. All things come into being from me, and all things come from nothing through me. Split a piece of wood, and I am there. Lift a stone, and you will find me there. 77, Jesus said, why did you go out to the wilderness? To see a reed swaying in the wind? Or to see someone dressed in fine clothes like kings and great men? Though their garments are beautiful, their minds cannot discern truth from falsehood. 78, a woman in the crowd said to him, blessed is the womb that bore you and the breasts that nursed you. Jesus replied, blessed are those who have heard the truth of God and truly keep it. For a day will come when you will say, blessed is the womb that has never conceived and the breasts that have never nursed. 79, Jesus said, whoever has recognized the world has found a corpse. Whoever has found a corpse is greater than the world. 80, Jesus said, let the rich rule and let those with power withdraw from the world. 81, Jesus said, whoever is near me is near the light, and whoever is far from me is far from the kingdom. 82, Jesus said, images are revealed to people, but the Father's image is hidden within the light that resides in them. The Father will be revealed, yet his image will remain hidden within the light. 83, Jesus said, when you see someone who looks like yourself, you will rejoice. But when you see your own likeness, which neither dies nor appears, how greatly you will be amazed. 84, Jesus said, Adam came from great power and great wealth, but he was not worthy of you. For if he had been worthy, he would not have tasted death. 85, Jesus said, foxes have dens, and birds have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head and rest. 86, Jesus said, woe to the body that depends on another body. And woe to the soul that depends on both. 87, Jesus said, angels and prophets will come to you and give you what you already have. And you will give them what you have and say to yourselves, when will they come to take what is theirs? 88, Jesus said, why do you wash the outside of the cup? Do you not realize that the one who made the inside also made the outside? 89, Jesus said, come to me, for my yoke is easy, my lordship is gentle, and you will find rest for yourselves. 90, they said to him, tell us who you are so that we may believe in you. Jesus said, you read the face of the sky and the earth, but you have not recognized the one standing before you, and you do not know how to read the present moment. 91, Jesus said, seek, and you will find. Yet you ask about events from past lifetimes, things I did not reveal to you then. Now I wish to tell you the truth, but you do not desire it. 92, Jesus said, do not give what is sacred to dogs, lest they throw it into the garbage. Do not cast pearls before swine, lest they trample them underfoot. 93, Jesus said, seek, and you will find. Knock, and it will be opened to you. 94, Jesus said, if you have money, do not lend it at interest. Instead, give it to those who cannot repay you. 95, Jesus said, the Father's kingdom is like a woman who took a small amount of yeast, hid it in dough, and made it into a large loaf. Whoever has ears to hear, let them hear. 96, Jesus said, the Father's kingdom is like a woman carrying a jar full of meal. While walking far from home, the jar's handle broke, and the meal spilled along the road behind her. She did not notice. When she reached her house and set the jar down, she found it empty. 97, Jesus said, the Father's kingdom is like a man who wanted to kill a strong adversary. In his own house, he drew his sword and thrust it into the wall to test his strength. Then he killed the strong man. 98, his disciples said to him, "Your brothers and your mother are standing outside." He replied, "Whoever does the will of my Father is my brother and my mother. Only they will enter my Father's kingdom." 99. They brought Jesus a coin and said, "Caesar's men demand that we pay taxes." He said, "Give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, give to God what belongs to God, and give to me what is mine." 100. Jesus said, "Anyone who does not hate their father and mother as I do cannot be my disciple. Anyone who does not love their father and mother as I do cannot be my disciple. My true mother gave me life." 101. Jesus said, "Woe to the Pharisees! They are like a dog lying in a cattle trough. It neither eats nor lets the cattle eat." 102. Jesus said, "Blessed are those who know when thieves are coming, for they can prepare, arm themselves, and protect their possessions before the thieves arrive." 103. They said to Jesus, "Let us fast and pray today." Jesus said, "What sin have I committed? When have I been defeated? However, when the bridegroom leaves the bridal chamber, then let them fast and pray." 104. Jesus said, "Whoever knows the father and the mother will be called the child of a beggar." 105. Jesus said, "If you make the two into one, you will become the Son of Man. And when you say, 'Mountain, move,' it will move." 106. Jesus said, "The kingdom of heaven is like a shepherd who had 100 sheep. One of them, the largest, went astray. He left the 99 to search for the lost one until he found it. After enduring many hardships, he said to the sheep, 'I love you more than the 99. 107. Jesus said, "Whoever drinks from my mouth will become like me. I will become that person, and the hidden mysteries will be revealed to them." 108. Jesus said, "The kingdom of heaven is like a man who had a treasure hidden in his field but did not know it. When he died, he left the field to his son, who also did not know about it. The son sold the field, and the buyer discovered the treasure while plowing. He began to lend money at interest to whoever wanted it." 109. Jesus said, "Whoever discovers the world and becomes rich should abandon the world." 110. Jesus said, "The heavens and the earth will be revealed before your eyes, and whoever lives like the living one will never taste death." Did Christ not say, "Whoever discovers their true self transcends the world"? 111. Jesus said, "Woe to the body that depends on the soul. Woe to the soul that depends on the body." 112. His disciples asked him, "When will the kingdom come?" Jesus said, "It will not come by waiting for it. It is not a matter of saying, 'It is here,' or 'It is there.' Rather, the Father's kingdom is spread out upon the earth, but people do not see it." 113. Simon Peter said to him, "Let Mary leave us, for women are not worthy of life." Jesus said, "I will guide her myself to make her male, so that she too may become a living spirit like you men. For every woman who makes herself male will enter the kingdom of heaven." Solidly cultivate and live clearly. Xiefeng. December 5, 2012. Cultivation and self-improvement are not about gambling, casting lots, divination, or rolling dice. They are not about blindly chanting mantras, putting on facades to deceive others, seeking fame and fortune, or indulging in flowery rhetoric. They are not about retreating into isolation to seek supernatural powers, playing with lofty concepts, or pretending to be profound. Instead, they involve uncovering the truth about everything. Not a single clue or trace should be overlooked, nor should any word or term be treated carelessly. We must thoroughly understand the essence of morality Tao and its virtue, the meaning of life, the significance of existence, the roles of time and space, and the relationships between consciousness, structure, and energy transformation. If something is unclear, we must make every effort to comprehend it. Ambiguity and blind faith are unacceptable. Even the teachings of gods, Buddhas, and sages must be understood, not just superficially but fundamentally. Once we grasp the truth, we must rigorously apply it to ourselves, integrating it into every word and action in our daily lives. The cultivation of Chanyuan celestials differs from all historical cultivation methods. It is the most stringent path, leaving no room for falsehood or pretense. It requires earnest effort and grounded practice. We must place ourselves in the positions of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, angels, celestials, and saints. Before speaking, we should ask ourselves, would Buddhas or Bodhisattvas say this? Before acting, we should ask, would Buddhas or Bodhisattvas do this? Over time, by consistently aligning ourselves in this way, we will become Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, celestials, and saints, and succeed in our cultivation. Never believe in something you do not understand. Blind belief leads only to ignorance. For those who wish to educate or guide others, you must first explain your teachings in the simplest and clearest terms, using language that everyone can easily understand. Avoid ambiguity. Provide factual examples, rigorous logical reasoning, scientific evidence, or insights derived from intuition. Do not rely excessively on jargon. If technical terms are necessary, explain them thoroughly first. Otherwise, regardless of your status, whether you claim to be a god, Buddha, celestial being, sage, or master, your teachings must be transparent, with clear origins and motivations backed by real-life evidence. In the era of Lifechanyuan, deceit and mediocrity have no place. We must scrutinize every teaching and dissect every word and term. If inconsistencies, contradictions, or lack of evidence arise, if teachings cannot withstand logical reasoning, or if they fail to inspire joy, clarity, or spiritual upliftment, discard them as worthless. Furthermore, if those who preach do not align their actions with their teachings or seek personal privilege and luxury, dismiss them entirely. For instance, Buddhism has its flaws. It denies the existence of the Master of the universe, the greatest creator, asserting that everything arises from causation. While it is true that the emergence of anything requires the right conditions, the question remains, where does the first cause come from? Where does the universe's order originate? Can there truly be no source or beginning? Does humanity have no ancestors? What conditions gave rise to the solar system? Many who preach Buddhism do not even understand what Buddha truly means or what the Dharma entails, leading people astray into confusion and disorder. Similarly, Christianity denies reincarnation, claiming that people cease to exist after death and can only be resurrected during the final judgment. Isn't this absurd? Evidence of reincarnation and transformation abounds. Judgments on life occur continuously, not in some distant, final event. If the greatest creator loves humanity, how could it allow errors to persist uncorrected for thousands of years before addressing them in a single trial? Would a father neglect to guide his children immediately and instead wait until they die to pass judgment? Such a father would hardly be loving or responsible. Chanyuan celestials must live with clarity and purpose, not in muddled confusion. What are we busying ourselves with throughout our lives? Is it to seek fame and fortune, glorify our ancestors, or leave a legacy? Is it for the benefits of nations, religions, political parties, or families? Did the Creator design humanity solely for these pursuits? Why regard intimacy between men and women as sinful? Did the greatest creators design reproductive organs solely for urination and procreation? Are they not also for pleasure and connection? The eyes were created to appreciate the vibrant beauty of the world. Why would other organs lack similar purposes? These questions and many others must be thoroughly investigated and understood. Only then can we live with clarity and meaning. Otherwise, living a life of ignorance is akin to working for demons, selling oneself to them and even helping them count their profits. Whatever others do is their choice, but Chanyuan celestials must cultivate earnestly and live with purpose. Even in death, we must die with clarity. We must not allow ourselves to leave this world with regrets or unfulfilled understanding. To live purposefully, we must discern what is truly important, distinguishing the primary from the secondary, and prioritize accordingly. Otherwise, regret will come too late. Thinking Self-Cultivation, 1. Xiefeng. December 24, 2012. The form and environment of life are determined by its non-material structure. This state manifests in the realm of consciousness. For instance, the greatest creator possesses 8 major characteristics: uniqueness, amorphousness, neutrality, mystery, impartiality, mercy, superpower, and absolute wisdom. Whoever embodies these 8 characteristics is the greatest creator. In reality, no other beings, whether gods, Buddhas, celestial beings, saints, or animals, can simultaneously possess all these traits. However, life can progressively approach the greatest creator's qualities, and the path to doing so begins with cultivating one's thinking and training the mind. There is no doubt that life exists in different levels. For instance, no one would argue that pigs, dogs, and humans are on the same level of life. Beyond humans, what kinds of beings exist? The answer: beyond humans are gods, Buddhas, and celestial beings. If one aspires to become a god, Buddha, or celestial being, they must develop the consciousness of such beings. Cultivating thinking is an effective method for humans to ascend to these higher states. Here are 8 topics for thinking practice to guide you in this cultivation. Possessions and attachments. Owning money and property, power and status, fame and reputation, beauty and charm, nations and ethnic groups, family and children, religions and political parties, or any belongings, are these good or bad? Why? How will you manage your possessions in the future? Possessing versus letting go. Is it easier to acquire or to let go? Everyone knows the allure of being a celestial, but what is it that they cannot relinquish? Choices and preferences. If offered 2 options, receiving $100,000 immediately or $200,000 over 10 years in $20,000 annual installments, which would you choose? Why? Similarly, if given a basket of apples varying in size and quality, would you eat the best ones first or the worst ones first? Why? Life's greatest decision. Choose between 2 scenarios. Risking everything to form a perfect union with an extraordinarily beautiful partner, experiencing unparalleled ecstasy, but dying immediately afterward. Living a healthy and long life of 100 years without ever experiencing such ecstasy. Which path would you choose and why? Negative emotions. Emotions such as jealousy, being picky, criticism, comparison, anger, rage, anxiety, and sorrow, what benefits do they bring? How do they serve you? If they have no advantages and bring no benefits, why do you still indulge in them? Prisons and freedom. How many kinds of prisons have you observed? Do you prefer being confined in a prison or roaming freely in open fields? Are you currently in a prison or an unrestricted field? If you love freedom, then who doesn't? Have you ever restricted someone else's freedom? How have you done so? Your life situation. What has caused your current living conditions, including your physical state and your lifestyle? If someone insults, deceives, bullies, or exploits you, whose fault is it? Tradition versus modernity. Do you prefer old constitutions or new ones? Do you follow the advice of the ancients or modern people? Is the traditional way of life better, or is the modern way superior? Do you still believe in the prophecies of your predecessors? If everything were to end tomorrow, would you choose to live joyfully today or to worry and fret? The 8 topics above are relatively simple exercises in thinking practice. Let us spread the wings of our minds and fully engage in this mental game. Perhaps this shift in thinking will unexpectedly reveal a bright and promising new perspective. Thinking Self-Cultivation, 2. Xiefeng. December 25, 2012. In Thinking Self-Cultivation, 1, many brothers and sisters engaged in earnest reflection, Wanyin Celestial, Shidai Celestial, Yekian Celestial, Jianma Celestial, Baichuan Celestial, Xian Celestial, Tianji Celestial, Fatic Celestial, Zhihui Celestial, Xiaoyao Celestial, Daqi Celestial, Jingguan Celestial, Daji Celestial, Qingjing Celestial, Wanmin Celestial, Shenming Celestial, Penglai Celestial, Baobei Celestial, Dingnan Celestial, Tianfang Celestial, Bison Celestial, and Zhufeng Celestial. Only through such deliberate thinking can one truly be said to have practiced. Congratulations and blessings to all of you. Food and health. Does eating more food make the body healthier? Does consuming a more varied diet improve one's health? For the celestials living in the home, be honest, are the meals in the home better than the food you ate in the mundane world before arriving? What kind of food do you consider to be the best? Clothing and aesthetics. Without considering warmth, do you find nudity more beautiful, or does appropriate attire enhance beauty? In the home, some brothers and sisters have many clothes, while others have fewer. Is it better to have more clothes or fewer? Housing and preferences. What kind of house do you prefer to live in? How would you like its interior and exterior to be decorated? Are you satisfied with the housing currently provided in the home? Interpersonal preferences. What types of personalities do you enjoy interacting with? Cheerful and humorous or serious and solemn? Joyful and carefree or gloomy and worried? Pure and innocent or gossipy and meddlesome? Flirtatious and romantic or upright and faithful? Strict and rule-bound or laid-back and casual? Fond of garlic, green onions, and cilantro, or preferring simple and plain tastes? Someone who knocks on your window late at night to seek you out, or someone who waits silently for your invitation? Determining one's future. What determines your future circumstances? Provide specific examples to illustrate your point. How can you be certain that after dying in the human world, you will reach a heavenly paradise? Use logical reasoning to support your belief. Perception of the world. Do you see the world as chaotic or orderly? Many people endure illness, disasters, and misfortunes. Are they victims of injustice? Have they been wronged? Freedom and kindness. I plan to build a bird park in the 4th branch. The sky within a radius of dozens of meters will be enclosed with wire mesh. Inside, there will be flowers, grass, trees, flowing water, ample food, and artificial bird nests. Birds will be purchased or captured and placed inside to fly around. Would this restrict the birds' freedom to soar in the open skies and forests? Is this idea cruel or kind to the birds? The mystery of Bodhidharma. Bodhidharma is said to have meditated facing a wall for 9 years, motionless and without eating or drinking. During that time, where did he go? Why did his physical body not perish? Thinking Self-Cultivation, 3. Xiefeng. December 26, 2012. In Thinking Self-Cultivation, 2, many brothers and sisters actively participated and responded thoughtfully, which brought me great comfort. Since this is about self-cultivation, you must personally engage in the process. My thinking cannot always substitute for yours, otherwise, you will merely become followers, and followers cannot embody Xiefeng. Your thinking must be unique. Do not simply echo others or adhere rigidly to conventions. Practice thinking from multiple perspectives, and do not let your thinking be confined by others. Even if your perspective is mistaken, take a moment to think from a different angle. This is what thinking self-cultivation truly entails. Regarding the idea of building a bird park, the discussions were excellent. Having perspectives clash with mine is even better. If you can refute me, that's ideal. Topics for further thought. Food consumption. Is the consumption of food driven primarily by physiological needs, psychological needs, or habitual behavior? Alternative ways of living. Beyond traditional lifestyles and the lifestyle of the second home, are there other ways of living? Natural law and human behavior. Wolves eating sheep is considered part of natural law. Does this mean that humans eating sheep is also part of natural law? Humans have domesticated wild animals, such as deer and ostriches. Does this violate natural law? Are human actions themselves not within the scope of natural law? Bird park and natural law. If my plan to build a bird park violates natural law, does that imply human actions can transcend natural law? If human actions cannot transcend natural law, then building a bird park must also align with it, correct? Preferences and natural law. If a woman does not like men, or a man does not like women, does this violate natural law? Why or why not? Opinions about men. The saying, "there's no good man in the world," is often heard. What is the primary reason behind this sentiment? Do you prefer a partner who is loyal or one who is flirtatious? Wealth and relationships. Why is it said that poor couples are the most loving? Once a poor couple becomes wealthy, why do affairs and infidelity often arise? Is this human nature? Suitability for different lifestyles. What kind of person finds life in secular society unbearable? What kind of person struggles to live in the second home? Thinking Self-Cultivation, 4. Xiefeng. January 7, 2013. Topics for reflection. The impact of negative words. What benefits do negative, pessimistic, and discouraging words bring to oneself? What benefits do they bring to the people around them? The fragrance of a person's presence. Night-blooming jasmine emits a pleasant fragrance, while foul-smelling dung gives off a stench. These are determined by their structures. When a person is filled with resentment and continually spreads negative, pessimistic, and discouraging emotions and messages, are they like night-blooming jasmine or like dung? Essential elements for growth. A plant needs fertile soil, water, and sunlight to grow robustly. What elements are necessary for a person to grow and thrive in a healthy way? Sources of negativity. What factors cause a person to feel distressed, negative, and pessimistic? Where do these factors primarily come from? Responsibility for accidents. When a wild rabbit crossing a road is hit and killed by a car, who is responsible, the rabbit, the car, or some other factor? Support versus constraint. Why does one person face constraints at every step while another receives help at every turn? Being liked versus disliked. Is it better to have more people dislike you or more people like you? Count how many people currently dislike you and how many like you. The happiest people. What type of people are the happiest in the world? Thinking Self-Cultivation, 5. Xiefeng. January 18, 2013. Topics for reflection. The value of attainment. Is what we possess more precious than what we lack? Why does something seem less valuable once it is obtained? Appreciation of possessions. Borrowed books are read quickly, while books we own are read slowly. People often fail to cherish what they already have. As the saying goes, one's own child is the best, but someone else's spouse seems better. What kind of mindset does this reflect? The nature of reality. What are Dharma characteristics? Does time truly exist? Is all existence merely an illusion of human consciousness? Destiny or choice? Are human relationships predestined or shaped by our actions? If they are predestined, should we resign ourselves to fate? If they are shaped by human effort, is it possible to change them? Nature versus morality. Consider phenomena such as the Oedipus complex and Electra complex. From a natural perspective, such inclinations are instinctive and blameless. However, from the standpoint of human morality, they are considered wrong and socially damaging. Should we follow our instincts or abide by societal morality? How should we address such conflicts? Dilemmas in decision-making. When faced with a dilemma, should we follow our inner drives or carefully weigh the pros and cons? Following our instincts may disrupt harmonious relationships, while overthinking might leave us dissatisfied. What is the right approach? The pursuit of perfection. Does a perfect person exist in this world? Environmental influence. Take the example of a plant. It withers overnight in the harsh northern winter but thrives in the warmth of the south. Similarly, a person might become petty within a marital home but grow magnanimous in a community like the second home. What lessons or insights can we draw from this? Thinking Self-Cultivation, 6. Xiefeng. January 21, 2013. Topics for reflection. Choosing between treasures. Which is more valuable, soil or gold? Reality or ideals? A wife or a mistress? A husband or a lover? A son or a disciple? Earth or the universe? Hands and feet or the brain? If you had to choose only one from each pair, which would you choose? The paradox of being right. I once said, everyone's actions are correct. I also said, the moment you think you're right, you're already wrong. How do you interpret this seemingly contradictory statement? The existence of absolute truth. Is there anything that is universally and absolutely correct? Categories of living beings. What defines a living person? What defines a dead person? What defines a living dead? Ethics and age in healthcare. Is the idea that individuals over 60 with terminal illnesses should forego treatment ethical? Is such a view? Does societal progress rely more on new ideas or old traditions? On young people or the elderly? Who is more likely to embrace new concepts, and who tends to hold on to old traditions? Life's path and priorities. If you had two paths to choose from, one where you earn money first and then purify your mind, and the other where you purify your mind first and then earn money, which would you choose? Among faith, ideals, and reality, which do you consider most important? If given a choice between a scripture, a basket of money, and a piece of land, which would you select? Sources of mistreatment. If someone insults, humiliates, bullies, or exploits you, whose fault is it? Is it the fault of the greatest creator? The fault of the law? The fault of societal moral values? The other person's fault? Or is it your own fault? Thinking Self-Cultivation, 7. Xiefeng. January 28, 2013. Topics for reflection. Connection with the world. What is the relationship between the clouds on the horizon and the caterpillars on the grass and yourself? Identify which things are closely and profoundly connected to your life. Independent function of the brain. Can your brain function independently? Without the vast external world, would your brain be alive or dead? The nature of memory. Where is your memory stored? Is it in your brain, in the external world, or in the information retention space? What does it mean when memory disappears? Obstacles to returning home. What are the greatest obstacles that hinder you from reaching the heavenly homeland? Life's greatest wealth. What is the greatest wealth in life? How can one acquire this greatest wealth? Unlocking the mysteries of the universe. The universe holds infinite mysteries, and humans are capable of attaining 64 divine abilities. What do you think is the key to unlocking these infinite mysteries and abilities? The power of imagination. There is nothing impossible, only what we cannot imagine. The question is, how can we develop such imagination? Finding the greatest creator. Have you found the greatest creator? If so, please provide an example to prove it. Thinking Self-Cultivation, 8. Xiefeng. February 4, 2013. Topics for reflection. Dream versus reality. Which version of yourself is more real, your dream self or your waking self? Your imagined self or your real-life self? Are we living in a dream or in reality? How do you interpret the phrase, life is but a dream? Proving heaven. By what means can you prove the existence of heaven? How far are you from heaven? What gaps remain between you and heaven? The existence of time. If everything is growing, aging, and dying, why claim that time doesn't exist? How can you prove time is non-existent? Can you reverse aging, return to the past, or leap into the future. The illusion of life. In dreams, you experience joy, fear, and worry, but upon waking, you realize it was all just a dream and find the events laughable. Knowing that life itself is no different from a dream, why do people remain attached to it? Why do they get emotionally invested in gains and losses, joys and sorrows, and life's fleeting experiences, even when they know it's all ephemeral like bubbles? Process versus outcome. Which is more important, the process or the outcome? What is the dialectical relationship between them? Would you choose the outcome or the process? The challenge is that all processes are controlled by programs, leaving people powerless. Should we then submit to destiny or strive actively? Striving might conflict with the program, while submission could result in missed opportunities. How should one walk the path of life? Predetermined life. If everything is programmed, inevitable, and predetermined, then every word spoken, action taken, and person encountered is fated. Life's blessings, misfortunes, longevity, and happiness are all predestined. In this case, is it true that whether one is proactive or passive, nothing is truly under human control? Why or why not? Facing inescapable confinement. If you were permanently trapped in a sealed concrete room, or an earthquake confined you to a small space with no tools and no chance of rescue, the inevitable outcome would be death. In such a situation, what would you do? Do you have any way to escape? Life's ultimate worth. What is worth exchanging your life for? Life is a journey. Is the journey itself life? Can life exist without the journey? How should we conduct ourselves during this journey? Primary health preservation. Xiefeng. The ultimate goal of life is to create the necessary conditions during our limited time on Earth to extend our lives into higher life spaces. Achieving this requires a healthy body, and health preservation serves this purpose. Humans are conglomerates of life composed of 130 trillion individual lives with nearly 10,000 distinct characteristics. On average, from birth to the age of 100, approximately 25,000 of these life units die within our bodies every minute. The more life units that perish, the weaker and less agile our life conglomerate becomes. When the number of dead life units reaches a critical level, the heart loses the ability to beat, the brain ceases to think, and the entire life conglomerate can no longer function effectively. Consequently, other living units in the body, deprived of energy replenishment, will die off en masse within days. Some life units with specific characteristics may take months or even years to die, and there are several other kinds that may survive for decades or even centuries unless the body is cremated or chemically treated. The life units that die within the body initially remain inside it, gradually being pushed out by living units. When the living units are unable to expel the dead ones, the affected areas begin to feel numb, swell, ache, discolor, or become emaciated. When the number of dead life units in a specific area reaches a certain level, that area first feels weak, numb, or uncomfortable, with occasional dull pain. If not promptly treated, the area becomes a hidden danger or the root of illness, its mobility compromised. Neglect can lead to further death of life units in the affected area, impacting the vitality of the entire body. The causes of the weakening and death of life units, excluding abnormal phenomena, are listed below in descending order of their destructive power. Mental activities triggered by the 7 emotions and 6 desires. Diet. Daily routine. Work or labor. Exposure to the elements, wind, frost, cold, heat. Air quality in the surrounding environment. Noise. Cosmic forces, geomagnetic fields, gravity, radiation, various rays, and waves. Longevity or early death depends not on fate but on personal cultivation. Every word and action of a person is closely related to their life. A turbulent mind with countless worries leads to countless cycles of life and death. Life and death are decided in a single thought. Dying of anger, laughter, or shame is not uncommon. Examples abound: someone dying of rage, turning gray overnight from worry, blowing their top in anger, crying their eyes out, trembling lips from fury, turning pale from fright, staying awake all night from excitement, speaking incoherently from joy, clenching teeth in hatred, or losing their appetite from overthinking. The damage these emotions cause to the body is obvious. However, most psychological activities inflict imperceptible damage to the body and are easily overlooked. People only recognize physical death but fail to realize that numerous life units die with every fluctuation of emotion. Most people focus on large, visible factors while neglecting the small, subtle, and invisible ones. While they know that a drop of water wears away a stone over time and that 3 feet of ice does not form overnight, they rarely apply this understanding to their own physical maintenance. They are accustomed to witnessing the inevitability of ripened fruit falling and water flowing naturally but overlook the process leading to these outcomes. Health preservation should become a long-term habit in our journey of self-improvement and cultivation. Therefore, I have summarized the health preservation tips of ancient sages along with my own insights for reference. Principles of health preservation. Maintain health. Attain longevity. Shed mortal body constraints. Ascend to celestial being. As long as the green hills remain, there's no fear of running out of firewood. As long as health remains, there's no fear of a short life. As long as longevity remains, there's no fear of failing to achieve the state of a celestial being. As long as spirit remains, there's no fear of losing life force. Without knowing the path to longevity, one's body is but a walking corpse. The primary focus of health preservation lies in nurturing essence, chi, vital energy, spirit, and form. A skilled health preserver addresses illnesses before they arise. Those who excel in the art of nurturing life know how to remain hidden within themselves without revealing their presence and how to integrate with others without drawing attention. Those who excel in nurturing life focus on preserving their physical form, and those who excel in preserving their physical form further cultivate their vital energy, chi. The first step in health preservation is to eliminate nameless worries. The second is to let go of greed for alcohol, sex, wealth, and fame. Few words conserve internal chi. Controlling temperament nurtures spirit. Light tastes nourish blood and chi. Refraining from anger nourishes lung chi. Regulated diet nurtures stomach chi. Less overthinking nurtures liver chi. Fewer cravings nurture heart chi. Restraining sexual desires nurtures essence chi. Mental and emotional discipline. If one desires to cultivate their body, they must first calm their mind. Avoid distraction, worry, obsession, delusion, greed, and indulgence. Seek inner peace and dispel external desires. Balanced lifestyle. Overeating weighs down the body. Indulgence in sensory pleasures clouds the spirit. Excessive thinking unsettles the mind. A restless heart dulls the spirit, and without a sharp spirit, the Tao cannot be achieved. Overexertion weakens vital energies. An overburdened mind leads to exhaustion. Excessive physical exertion weakens the body. Overworking the spirit depletes its vitality. Draining too much qi leads to collapse. Restrain overthinking, preserve vitality. Avoid overthinking, and the spirit will remain whole. Speak less, and your qi will stay intact. Refrain from lust, and your essence will remain sufficient. Emotional impact on vital energy. Anger drives qi upwards. Joy relaxes qi. Sadness dissipates qi. Fear causes qi to sink. Cold constricts qi. Heat causes qi to escape. Shock scatters qi. Overexertion depletes qi. Overthinking knots qi. Stillness regenerates qi. Balance in daily activities. Prolonged watching harms the blood. Lying down for too long weakens qi. Sitting for too long harms the muscles. Standing for too long weakens the bones. Walking for too long strains the tendons. Moderation and consistency. Eat in moderation, maintain regular routines, and avoid overworking. Internally, do not overstrain your heart and mind. Externally, do not exhaust your physical body. Mindfulness and emotional balance. Fear and excessive thoughts harm the spirit. Overindulgence in joy scatters the spirit, making it hard to preserve. Sorrow blocks the flow of qi. Anger leads to confusion and impedes healing. Fear disturbs the spirit, making it difficult to calm and contain. Living in peace and simplicity. With simplicity and tranquility, worries cannot intrude, and negative energies cannot assail. Guidance for physical and emotional well-being. Regular physical activity ensures a healthy body. Curbing desires preserves spiritual vitality. Speaking less helps maintain your blessings. Sensory moderation. Shield your eyes from improper sights. Guard your ears against unclean words. Avoid inhaling foul odors. Refrain from consuming overly pungent or harmful foods. Keep your mind free from deceitful thoughts. Emotional moderation. When you love someone, do not love too deeply. When you dislike someone, do not hate too intensely. Balance in speech, diet, and activities. Speak less, eat less, and have fewer concerns in your heart, resulting in less sleep at night. Avoid overindulgence. Excessive sleep dulls the spirit, frequent intoxication scatters qi, excessive sweating depletes blood, and overexertion weakens the body. Constant movement disrupts qi and startles the spirit. Climbing to great heights can scatter your soul and make your spirit flee in fear. Moderate physical effort. Do not spit far, as it depletes energy. Do not walk hastily, as it harms the tendons. Do not gaze intensely, as it diminishes your essence. Emotional stability. Remain calm in the face of both honor and disgrace, and your liver will remain at ease. Act with reverence in both stillness and motion, and your heart will be steady. Eat in moderation, and your spleen will not be overburdened. Practice controlled breathing and speak less, and your lungs will remain intact. Cultivate tranquility and avoid desires, and your kidneys will be nourished. Moderation in diet and the harm of overindulgence. Eat before you are too hungry, but stop before you are full. Overeating harms the spleen, while hunger harms the stomach. Excessive thirst damages blood, and overdrinking harms qi. Avoid overeating or drinking when extremely hungry or thirsty to prevent bloating and injury to the heart and lungs. Avoid sitting or lying down with wind blowing at the back of your head. Exposure to wind in this way shortens life. Effects of emotions. Anger weakens qi, making it easier for illness to invade. Overthinking exhausts the spirit, leaving the heart vulnerable. Avoid extremes of joy and sorrow. Maintain a balanced diet. Take extra care to avoid intoxication at night. Most importantly, never allow yourself to succumb to rage in the morning. Mindful living. Do not let your eyes gaze upon improper sights. Do not let your ears hear improper words. Do not let your mouth speak improper language. Do not let your mind dwell on improper thoughts. Simplicity and tranquility. Purify your heart and limit your desires. Maintain tranquility and clarity, achieving stillness within motion. Keep your heart at peace and nurture your kidneys, living your years in contentment and ease. Maintaining vitality. Consolidate your liver's essence, or your eyes will become dizzy and lose clarity. Consolidate your lungs' essence, or your muscles will weaken and atrophy. Consolidate your kidneys' essence, or your spirit and qi will diminish. Consolidate your spleen's essence, or your teeth will loosen, and your hair will fall out. Balance activity and rest. Avoid overwork, as it depletes qi. Avoid complete inactivity, as it causes blood and qi to stagnate. Importance of movement. Movement generates vitality, life originates from movement. Guidance for longevity. To live a long life, do not overstrain your body or deplete your essence. Let your eyes look without seeing and your mind remain free of excessive thoughts. By conserving your spirit in this way, it will protect your body and prolong your life. Appropriate living environment. There are 8 unsuitable places for living. Areas that are dirty or cluttered. Locations with excessive noise. Places rife with arguments and disputes. Crowded, bustling areas. Elevated or protruding ground. Dark and damp environments. Spaces with poor ventilation. Locations near graves or temples. Dietary choices. Meat eaters are heavy, dull, vegetable eaters are light, clear, grain eaters are wise, chi eaters are spiritual. Cultivating the spirit. Be pure and unmixed, still and unchanging, indifferent and inactive, moving in harmony with natural laws. This is the way to nurture the spirit. Respecting life. Those who value life do not harm their bodies through indulgence, even when wealthy and powerful. Similarly, they do not exhaust themselves pursuing profit, even when poor and humble. Value of life over profit. Value life over profit, and the pursuit of profit will become insignificant. Calm desires to clear the mind. By dispelling desires, one naturally finds inner calm. By purifying the heart, the spirit becomes clear. Solitude for health. The superior sleeps alone, the average shares a bed. Taking 100 medicines is not as beneficial as sleeping in solitude. Harm of extreme emotions and desires. Excessive contemplation and overexertion of memory harm the mind. Worry, intense emotions such as elation, sadness, and grief also take a toll on the mind. Immoderate fear, unresolved anger, and obsessive longing for unfulfilled desires cause further harm. An imbalance of yin and yang disrupts the body and mind. Avoiding harmful desires. Do not be overly eager in pursuing desires, and do not harbor intense resentment, as both shorten life. If these can be avoided, longevity is possible. 3 major warnings for health. Great anger, great desires, and great intoxication. Avoidance and moderation. Avoid wind as you would avoid arrows, avoid lust as you would avoid chaos. Adjust your clothing according to the seasons and eat less after the evening hours. Cultivating body and spirit. If one can align their body and soul through self-cultivation, true essence and spirit will reside within, giving rise to great talent and virtue. The principle of essence. Water has its source, so its flow will reach far. Trees have their roots, so their leaves will grow lush. Houses have foundations, so their pillars will stand firm. People have essence, so their lives will be long. Pillow height. A pillow should neither be too high nor too low. If it is too high, it may constrict the liver, if too low, it may constrict the lungs. Leakage of vital substances. Tears from the eyes indicate liver leakage. Mucus from the nose indicates lung leakage. Saliva from the mouth indicates kidney leakage. Sweat while awake indicates heart leakage. Night sweats indicate small intestine leakage. Drooling while asleep indicates brain leakage. Dreams of intimacy with ghosts indicate spirit leakage. Lustful behavior leads to bodily leakage. A warning on lust. A beautiful woman of 16 is as soft as butter, yet she wields a sword to slay foolish men. Though no heads visibly fall, she secretly drains their vitality and withers their bones. Fullness and desires. One with a full spirit does not desire sleep. One with full energy, chi, does not desire food. One with full essence does not desire lust. Seasonal dietary guidance. In spring, eat less sour and more sweet. In winter, eat more bitter and less salty. In summer, increase pungent flavors and reduce bitter ones. In autumn, reduce pungent flavors and add a little sour. Taboo behaviors. Daily, avoid overeating. Monthly, avoid excessive drunkenness. Yearly, avoid overworking and excessive anger. Lifetime, avoid enduring frequent frustrations in the morning. Inner peace. Embrace simplicity, maintain inner harmony, avoid scheming, and curb excessive thinking. The interdependence of form and spirit. Spirit gives birth to form, and form completes spirit. Without spirit, form cannot live. Without form, spirit cannot manifest. Form and spirit must harmonize, mutually supporting and enhancing each other. Emotional impact. Grief causes tears, bitterness causes a runny nose, anger leads to goiters, and rage causes deep-rooted ulcers. Qi follows the desires of the heart and gathers where the heart lingers, nurturing or harming as a result. Therefore, wise individuals regulate their grief and bitterness and avoid anger. The path to longevity. The way to nurture longevity is simple: avoid harming the body. Being warm in winter and cool in summer, while maintaining the harmony of the four seasons, benefits the body. Beautiful and virtuous companionship, coupled with serene and enjoyable pastimes, prevents the confusion of desires and fosters spiritual clarity. Adorning oneself with dignified attire and riding in majestic carriages, while remaining content and free from excessive desires, fosters a focused and steadfast mind. Pleasing the senses with music and beautiful colors nourishes the heart. All these contribute to longevity, but those who fail to balance them may hasten their decline. Importance of yin-yang harmony. A lack of physical union between yin and yang, man and woman, can result in illnesses caused by blood stasis and qi stagnation. Those who live in isolation without sexual interaction are more prone to illness and may have a shorter lifespan. Conversely, excessive indulgence in sexual desire also shortens life. Risks of improper sexual practices. When a person is angry, their blood and energy are unsettled. If they engage in intercourse, it may cause abscesses. One should also avoid holding in urine during intercourse, as it can cause painful and swollen genitals and a pale complexion. Engaging in intercourse after traveling far or being fatigued leads to 5 types of fatigue and reduced fertility. Intercourse during menstruation can cause leukorrhea. Mercury should not come into contact with the genitals, as it causes shrinkage. Deer and pig fat should also not come into contact with the genitals, as they can lead to impotence. The effects of excess and imbalance. Excessive ejaculation shortens life. Overeating blocks energy in veins, excessive drinking stresses the bladder, extreme cold harms the muscles, and consuming cold food causes blockages and diseases. Coughing and spitting result in the loss of bodily fluids. Prolonged use of vision weakens the eyes, prolonged listening dulls the intellect, and prolonged crying saddens the spirit. Sudden loud calls frighten the soul, internal anxiety causes distraction, and excessive joy or anger unsettles the spirit. The power of a calm mind. A calm mind leads to life, a disturbed mind leads to death. Embracing emptiness to achieve clarity. Abandon fame and profit, forget emotions and desires, and the mind becomes empty. When the mind is empty, energy stabilizes. When energy stabilizes, the spirit becomes clear. Moderation in sexual activity. When yin and yang are harmonized, and intercourse is moderate, one can extend life. Entering the bedroom with proper techniques enables one to forget external surroundings and prolong life. Avoid indulgence in young maidens or attachment to young male concubines, as this can prolong life. Refrain from greed for sensual pleasures and from allowing the mind to become disturbed, this too can prolong life. Avoid fantasies and dream-related intercourse to prolong life. In youth, do not overindulge in pleasure. In old age, practice restraint to prolong life. Avoid lust as though it were your enemy, and discipline desire to achieve longevity. Dietary recommendations for longevity. Rich and greasy foods can cause digestive issues and lead to phlegm production. To maintain good health, eat a light breakfast early, a substantial lunch to feel full, and a small dinner. By following these practices, one can enjoy a long, illness-free life into old age. Maintaining a healthy living environment. In a closed room, avoid drafts. A high bed prevents ghostly influences. Preserving essence brings benefits, and maintaining energy prevents the loss of life. Control emotions and avoid excessive desires for fame and profit. Caution in food and activities. Be cautious with raw, cold, and hard foods. Sour, salty, and pungent flavors are unsuitable. Stop work during rain, clouds, and wind. Postpone activities during thunderstorms. Avoid stale and foul-smelling items, as they are harmful. Dead and decaying items produce foul air and offer no benefit. Seasonal and daily rhythms. Avoid anger in the early hours, as it damages the lungs and liver. In summer, rise early. In winter, sleep late. Gradually reduce padded cotton clothing in spring and slowly add layers in autumn. Sleep at 9:30 p.m. and wake at 5:30 a.m., following the natural order of yin and yang. Avoid staying up late and overworking. The body aligns with the cosmos. Maintain this habit consistently to achieve health and happiness every day. A carefree and balanced life. Live a leisurely and carefree life, free from desires and constant striving. Whether active or at rest, be content in the moment. Preserving essence, energy, and spirit. If you avoid overexerting your kidneys, your essence will remain whole. If you refrain from overworking your body, your energy, qi, will stay intact. If you do not overburden your heart, your spirit will be preserved. When essence, energy, and spirit are each perfectly preserved, one naturally becomes a celestial being. Perseverance and natural harmony in pursuing the Tao. A rope can saw through wood, and dripping water can wear down stone. Pursuers of Tao must consistently apply effort. When water flows, channels form. When fruit ripens, it falls naturally. Those who follow Tao will achieve it effortlessly by aligning with the natural order. Intermediate health preservation. Xiefeng. Humans are composed of two parts, the physical body and the spiritual body. Changes in the positive universe affect the physical body. Factors such as sunspots, the waxing and waning of the moon, ozone depletion, radioactive dust, volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, geomagnetic forces, ultraviolet rays, gamma rays, beta rays, winds, clouds, rain, snow, fog, frost, cold, and heat all impact the physical body. Additionally, walking, sitting, lying down, eating, drinking, excreting, sounds, colors, tastes, living environments, and spatial structures influence the body. Meanwhile, changes in the negative universe impact the spiritual body. The will of the greatest creator, conflicts among gods, the operation of the Tao, the teachings and actions of Jesus, the doctrines of Buddhism and Islam, the God you believe in, thoughts such as liberalism, and spirits like the Republican ethos affect the spiritual body. Furthermore, those alive or deceased who are connected to you, animals, plants, your thoughts, consciousness, ideas, dreams, and the information waves left by your actions and thoughts, also influence your spiritual body. The physical body is the vessel for the spiritual body, which is the essence of the physical body. While the physical body merely carries the spiritual body governs the life and death of the physical body. Physical disabilities have minimal impact on the spiritual body's perfection, but defects in the spiritual body can render the physical body an instinct-driven shell or even a vegetative state. A perfected spiritual body can optimize physical functioning, heal severe injuries, cure terminal illnesses, and even bring about resurrection. The physical and spiritual bodies are interconnected yet independent. For instance, a vegetative state represents a physical body almost entirely separated from its spiritual body, whereas entities like the greatest creator, gods, and Buddhas represent spiritual bodies detached from physical forms. When the spiritual body's quality reaches a certain purity, it can leave and return to the physical body at will. In dreams, while the physical body rests, the spiritual body can traverse mountains and seas, meeting friends and family far away. Primary health preservation focuses on protecting the physical body. Intermediate health preservation considers both the physical and spiritual bodies, while advanced health preservation prioritizes the spiritual body. To maintain the physical body, it is helpful to understand its structure, knowing the functions of the internal organs, their interrelations, and their connections to muscles, bones, nerves, blood, skin, hair, and sensory organs like the eyes, ears, nose, mouth, and tongue. The 5 organs. Heart houses the spirit and governs the mind, directing mental, conscious, and cognitive activities while controlling nerve impulses. Manages blood circulation, driven entirely by the heart's energy. Governs sweat and opens into the tongue, reflecting heart conditions. The heart is interconnected with the small intestine. The heart and kidneys assist each other. The heart supports kidney yang, warmth and energy, while the kidneys support heart yin, cooling and nourishing functions. Liver stores the soul and blood, and governs regulation. Liver energy thrives on smooth flow and fears stagnation. Emotional suppression leads to liver qi stagnation, causing irritability and fullness in the flanks. Governs the tendons and meridians, influencing the flexibility of joints and muscles, nourished by liver blood. Opens into the eyes, with eye issues often indicating liver problems. The liver and gallbladder are interconnected. Spleen stores willpower, governs the transformation of food, including digestion, absorption, and transportation, regulates blood circulation, and enhances energy. Governs the muscles and is linked to the stomach. Lungs store the corporeal soul, pa, and govern qi, vital energy. Manage the water pathways and are responsible for the skin and body hair. Open into the nose and are reflected in the voice. The lungs are connected to the large intestine. Kidneys store essence, govern bone and marrow production, capture qi, and regulate water and life force fire. Open into the ears. Kidney deficiency can lead to deafness or tinnitus. The 6 bowels. Gallbladder stores bile, aiding fat digestion, saponification, and absorption. Courage stems from the gallbladder. Stomach receives and digests food. Large intestine conducts waste excretion. Bladder stores and excretes urine. Small intestine separates the pure from the impure. It delivers the refined essence of nutrients, digested by the spleen and stomach, to various organs to nourish the entire body, while directing the useless residue to the bowels for excretion. Triple burner, not an independent organ but a functional summary of other organs and their positions. The human body functions as an organic whole, with each part fulfilling its own specific responsibilities while being interdependent and mutually regulated. Proper health preservation ensures balanced development across all bodily systems, resulting in a healthy physique. A healthy body leads to vitality. With abundant energy, bone marrow is produced. Sufficient bone marrow generates an adequate supply of blood cells, which transport oxygen and nutrients throughout the body, kill germs, and expel them along with other waste. The above merely schemes the surface of human knowledge from a material perspective. While modern disciplines such as medicine, biology, and anatomy have detailed descriptions of the human body, many of its mysteries remain beyond scientific explanation. For example, every earthly resource has a corresponding code within the human body, suggesting that all treasures of the earth exist within us. To obtain wealth, one must first uncover these treasures within oneself. Once the corresponding code within your body is discovered, the related external resources will naturally come to you. Beyond these treasures, the human body also contains an infinite reservoir of toxins. The body is continuously undergoing not only physical but also chemical transformations. For instance, when you are angry, toxic, volcanic eruptions, primarily from the brain marrow, occur. If unchecked, these toxins can poison your entire system,